The acrid stench of my burned house lingered in my hair as she strutted into my courtroom like she owned the place. There I sat, Judge Elena Whitaker, clad in black robes with gavel in hand, staring down the woman who'd just committed arson against a sitting judge. The sheer audacity of it made my teeth clench, igniting a fury that promised retribution. But Clara Beaumont Kingsley had no inkling of the storm she'd unleashed. When you torch a judge's home, you'd better pray she doesn't get the opportunity to repay the favor through the full force of the law. And darling, I was primed to deliver a 5-course feast of justice, complete with a generous helping of federal prison time. This HOA tyrant believed incinerating my house would silence me forever. Instead, it fanned the flames of my resolve, setting ablaze her entire web of criminal schemes. Every unlawful fine, every fabricated claim, every act of intimidation, I had meticulously documented it all. Imagine your worst enemy handing themselves over on a gleaming silver platter of legal vulnerability. What lengths would you go to ensure they paid dearly? 6 months prior to my home becoming a smoldering crime scene, I was Judge Elena Whitaker, a figure both respected and dreaded in criminal circles, yet personally shattered beyond repair. I'd only just laid my husband Victor to rest after witnessing cancer ravage him bit by agonizing bit. 28 years of shared life vanished in an instant. Our charming 1940s craftsman home in Oak Ridge Meadows had transformed into a hollow tomb, echoing with ghosts of happier times. Oak Ridge had once been a haven for blue-collar families raising children and retired educators nurturing vibrant flower gardens. But then the affluent influx began, demolishing modest ranch houses to erect sprawling McMansions boasting 3-car garages and opulent wine cellars. Longtime residents like Sam Harlow, who'd called this place home since 1965, endured skyrocketing property taxes while newcomers griped incessantly about upholding neighborhood standards. Enter the undisputed monarch of this gentrification crusade, Clara Beaumont Kingsley. Envision the epitome of suburban entitlement, amplified by designer athleisure wear and an unshakable god complex. At 45, she cruised in a sleek silver Tesla worth more than most annual salaries, perpetually sipping a $20 superfood smoothie while lecturing others on their life missteps. She'd relocated here 2 years earlier with her contractor spouse, boldly proclaiming her intent to elevate Oak Ridge to its true potential. In plain speak, purge the so-called undesirables. My initial clash with Clara unfolded as I installed Victor's memorial fence, a 6-foot privacy barrier we designed together in his waning months. It was meant to be our private oasis, a spot for morning coffee amid sunrises, shielded from nosy gazes. The fragrant bloom of his cherished roses perfumed the air as I labored. The sharp crunch of high-end boots on fallen autumn leaves heralded her approach. "You must be the widow," she declared, devoid of sympathy or proper introduction, just a chilling appraisal. "Judge Whitaker," I corrected firmly, brushing dirt from my hands with measured poise. "Right, the judge," she uttered disdainfully, as if the title were affliction. "I'm Clara, HOA president. We have a problem." She brandished her pink tape measure like a scepter, extending it with dramatic flair to gauge my fence. 6 foot 2 inches. Our rules explicitly cap at 6 feet. That's a $500 fine, plus demolition expenses. I rose deliberately, my spine cracking from accumulated grief and insomnia. "Produce that regulation." She rifled through her luxurious leather portfolio for 5 futile minutes, yielding nothing, because no such rule existed. I'd commissioned a certified surveyor to confirm the exact 6-foot height precisely to preempt such absurdity. "Well," she puffed, her face flushing beneath her artificial tan, "we'll see about that, Judge." The malice in her tone betrayed this wasn't about aesthetics. It was personal. That night, hunched over reheated leftovers and Victor's preferred bourbon, I delved into court archives. Jackpot. 3 years back, Kingsley elite builders had stood before my bench, attempting to defraud an 80-year-old veteran of $30,000 for non-existent roof repairs. I'd hammered them with a decisive ruling, escalating it to a contractor fraud probe. This fence dispute was blatant vengeance. Yet Clara had gravely erred in selecting her mark. a seasoned judge who'd presided over murderers, rapists, and swindlers for 2 decades without batting an eye. A widow who'd cradled her dying soulmate with grace, now bereft of anything to forfeit, armed with intimate knowledge of the legal system's vulnerabilities and strengths. The sturdy grain of Victor's fence posts beneath my palm reaffirmed its purpose, not isolation, but safeguarding our sacred recollections, our enduring love, our final joint endeavor. Clara Beaumont Kingsley had waged war on a federal judge's haven. In judicial parlance, that was prime evidence of monumental folly. In mere weeks, Clara escalated to full-blown psychological warfare, cloaked in HOA bureaucracy. Certified mail bombarded me relentlessly, hefty envelopes that prompted apologetic winces from my postman. 7 registered missives in 10 days, each more ludicrous than the last. First violation, an unapproved decorative garden element. Victor's modest granite memorial stone inscribed with "In memory of love that grows eternal." Evidently, mourning tributes clashed with Oak Ridge's uniform landscape aesthetic. Second, a non-regulation mailbox hue. My box had stood unchanged since the Reagan era, now abruptly deemed a visual discord. But the one that grated most, excessive bird feeding creating nuisance conditions. My solitary feeder drew cardinals, Victor's beloved birds, a daily ritual blending coffee vapors with crisp mountain breezes, evoking his phantom presence. Each demanded fines, ranging from $200 to $500, menacing with liens and lawsuits. The premium paper likely exceeded the fine's worth. Fortunately, my 2 decades on the bench equipped me well. Law school had ingrained California's HOA statutes in me after a shady landlord's antics. These notices were sieves of illegality. Fines must be rational, tied to verifiable infractions, and outlined in ratified bylaws. Clara's cited phantom rules and omitted required appeal processes. Retaliation beckoned. 3 evenings in Victor's basement study, enveloped by his antiquated law tomes and their musty aroma. I forged my counteroffensive. I lodged a formal grievance with the California Real Estate Commission, cataloging Clara's procedural lapses. I photographed my property exhaustively, compiled spreadsheets chronicling her illicit fine schemes. My evidence-handling expertise was now a sharpened blade, but Clara hadn't exhausted her amateur ploys. Thursday morning, as I sentenced intoxicated drivers downtown, my fresh security cams ensnared blatant criminal idiocy. Clara descended with her posse, a gaunt interior designer swathed in white, and her personal trainer doubling as an inspector. They devoted 2 hours to fabricating proof of imaginary breaches. The designer gestured theatrically at Victor's roses, as if 15 years of devoted care offended her sensibilities. The trainer scribbled on official-looking pads, more versed in supplements than statutes. Reviewing the tape that night fueled my indignation. They were concocting bogus records to bolster sham penalties, in courtroom terms, conspiracy to defraud. Then Sam Harlow rapped on my door, his pipe tobacco mingling with twilight chill as he murmured concerns. "Judge, this Clara woman's been methodically harassing folks. Recall the Lopez family? Compelled them to dismantle their Our Lady of Guadalupe statue, dubbing it non-conforming religious imagery. $800 in fines. Before they fled, my judicial antennae quivered. What more? A single mom nearby fined for her children's sidewalk chalk drawings, rainbows and hopscotch. Judge called it defacing common aesthetics. The mosaic coalesced like trial evidence aligning. Clara wasn't isolating me. She orchestrated a harassment regime against misfits in her elitist utopia. Latinos, lone parents, fixed-income seniors, and now a bereaved judge who'd thwarted her husband's scams. This was bigotry veiled in administrative veneer, underpinned by forged docs and unlawful fines. I'd unwittingly uncovered a vast criminal syndicate dwarfing my fence spat. My pen scratched notations in Victor's serene office. He'd likened sound legal tactics to surgery. Exact, systematic, lethally potent when applied right. I was poised for major excision on Clara Beaumont Kingsley's petty despotism. She'd erred classically by assaulting one versed in dismantling such regimes via the very system she'd perverted. Victor used to quip that judges were referees with JDs and indelible dispositions. Time to demonstrate to this HOA bully the peril of challenging a rulemaker. Clara's subsequent maneuver. Vaulted from nuisance to felony. Evidently deciding contrived violations insufficient, she opted for outright intrusion to amplify her threat. She struck while I adjudicated a domestic abuser. Downtown, sentencing him to 18 months. My cams immortalized her emergency property inspection, a fictitious prerogative born of delusion. Bold in yoga attire, she invaded my backyard. Pink measure in tow, snapping photos from invasive vantage points that would shame tabloid hounds. Climax, peering through my kitchen window at Victor's unwashed mug, a relic I couldn't bear to cleanse. But her folly crested when she intentionally unlatched my back gate, verifying it swung free before sauntering off smugly. Returning exhausted from abuse testimonies, I discovered my refuge. Breached and nightmare incarnate, Whiskers vanished. This 14-year-old tabby wasn't mere pet. He was Victor's parting bequest, rescued from a courthouse lot amid thunder 3 years prior. The feline who'd purred solace into Victor's chemo ordeals, my soul living tether to 28 years of matrimony. Panic struck like a blow. 3 days scouring alleys and drains. Voice raw from calls. Sam rallied search parties. Even the Lopezes, displaced by Clara's torment, returned to aid. The vet's call iced my veins. Judge Whitaker, Dr. Ramirez at Valley Animal. Emergency. A cat matching yours is here, in rough shape. Whiskers lay in an oxygen tent, ribs fractured, dehydrated, traumatized. Post-$800 surgery, the diagnosis quaked my fists. Injuries suggest pursuit by machinery, perhaps high-powered blowers. Stress nearly fatal. Footage unveiled the horror. An hour post-trespass, Clara's landscapers arrived with industrial blowers, hounding my distressed cat through the open gate 2 blocks to a storm drain collapse. No longer mere harassment. This was familial assault. But Clara's lethal blunder, perpetrating felonies against a judge adept at legal armament for utter demolition. I rekeyed locks, erected no trespass signs, pressed charges for entry and cruelty. Then I phoned Channel 5's Emily Hayes, a tenacious reporter exposing suburban rot. Her segment, Judge vs. HOA. When Guardians Bite Back, aired days later, unmasking Clara's bias against minorities and elders, featuring trespass footage and Whiskers chase. Backlash erupted atomic. Funds flooded for vets and litigation to dismantle the deranged HOA. Hashtag Justice for Whiskers trended. 3 firms proffered pro bono. California's AG inquired on rights. Breaches. 5 more households shared tales. Elderly Mrs. Ellis coerced to raise her spouse's memorial plot. The Thompson family bankrupted over their disabled child's ramp. A blueprint of victimizing. Nonconformists. Digging into California's property safeguards yielded golden ammo. Intimidatory entry equated burglary penalties. Cruelty stacked with conspiracy if accomplices involved. Clara's crew hadn't just sinned once. They'd forged a RICO predicate. That night, Whiskers purred against me anew, blending with my security hum and keyboard clacks drafting complaints to end her tyranny eternally. Victor deemed judges referees with eternal clout and elephantine recall. Time to educate this suburban scourge on tormenting a federal judge's kin. Clara's panic hit thermonuclear. Upon grasping her trespass birthed federal indictments. So she aimed to torpedo my career preemptively. The complaint landed via certified mail Tuesday morn, official California judicial discipline. Commission stationery souring my coffee. Clara's fabrications read like pulp. Judge Whitaker misuses authority to bully upright homeowners, perverting justice for grudges threatening safety. Evidence. Doctored pics portraying my garden as blight. Phony affidavits from her designer and trainer alleging threats. Timestamps laughable to forensics. She leaked to blogs opposing my eco rulings. Soon I trended as activist Judge Harris's Patriots. For 72 hours, my 20-year legacy shredded by illiterates in jurisprudence opining on constitutions. Salvation materialized. As a silver-haired dame bearing homemade treats. Louise Patterson resembled a kindly librarian. Cardigan, sensible shoes, tremulous hands. Yet boasted 25 FBI years in financial crimes. Surveilling Clara Weeks. Judge, you need this, she stated, claiming Victor's seat with veteran assurance. Louise arrayed photos like poker stakes. Meet Sophia Beaumont from Phoenix. 3 claims in 2 years. Flood, fire, vandalism. $400,000 vanished pre-grand jury. Patterns screamed. Infiltrate neighborhoods. Spark disputes for claims. Abscond pre-probes. She's filed under alias. Federal mail. Fraud. Docs sang to my prosecutorial soul. Clara's policy overvalued her $800,000 home at $2.8 million, laced with falsehoods on priors and finances. Your diversion, Louise dissected. HOA drama masks. Fund siphoning and arson setup. Revelation hammered. Not vendetta, but cover for embezzlement and fraud. While I battled fences, she drained HOA reserves, priming community devastating scams. Louise's clincher chilled. Pre-claims for structural issues and safety concerns. My house wasn't target, it was scam exhibit. Evening amid evidence transforming nightmare to RICO. Bank ledgers showed $340,000 HOA theft, apps riddled with perjuries, bias patterns yelling rights violations. Clara hadn't chosen me for old scores. She'd engineered distraction from robbing us blind. But her hubris, assaulting one expert in federal arsenal deployment. Victor viewed patience as weaponry with timing mastery. Clara Beaumont Kingsley would learn scamming while terrorizing a judge. Wasn't dumb, it was life-term dumb. Louise's envelope weighed like doom. Clara doesn't exist, she intoned. Photos. Rebecca Ashworth in California 2018, Beth Sterling in Phoenix, Sandra Mitchell in Detroit 2010, with prisoner ID. Professional ruiner. 4 states, 6 IDs. HOA infiltration, embezzlement, fraud. For $1 million stolen decade-long. Families ruined. 15 confirmed. Pattern. Harass minorities/elders, steal funds, torch for payouts. Next doc froze blood. My house blueprints via Kingsley Elite, annotated with fire vulnerabilities. Arson plan from start. Harassment distracted while prepping. Your upgrades boosted rebuild to $320,000. She'd claim spread for double dip. Tracing Victor's marginal notes. Our last labors, twisted by her greed. But finale shattered assumptions. Fugitive in witness protection. Testified against Detroit Ring 2012. Served 18 months. Vanished 2015. Exploiting federal IDs for same crimes. 10-year min for. Violation alone. Add multi-state fraud, ID theft, arson on judge. Life sans parole. Photos of her wreckage. Devastated communities, stress-killed elders. Contextualized my ordeal as latest in federal. Spree. She'd profiled my vulnerability. Victor's death, finances, schedule, bonds. But blunder. Targeting a multi-agency prosecution coordinator. Time for merciless federal justice. My kitchen morphed to war room by Thursday eve. Louise, Sam, attorney Rebecca Sloan encircled Victor's table like vengeful seraphs, evidence crates poised to inter Clara's empire. Rebecca, ex-federal prosecutor in chic suits, undefeated in RICO, arrived from Sacramento with paralegals and dictatorial firepower. We're not just litigating harassment, she proclaimed, charting flows like World War II strategies. Dismantling decade spree ruining 15 communities, thieving $4 million. Fresh docs sent mingled with Sam's pipe as we plotted tri-pronged assault, federal obliteration, state. Charges, rights demolition. Rebecca's plan, precision surgery, epic scale. Feds first, mail fraud, 20 years, wire fraud, 20, ID theft, 10, RICO, life. Sentences till seas rise. Louise mobilized. Agencies with retiree prowess. California Bureau, Treasury, FBI fraud task. They're salivating. Surveillance by Morn. My task. Evidence curation, victim liaison, bench-honed skills. Law school etched open records post-landlord scam. HOA books transparent to savvy requesters. We'd demand 5-year audits. Watch embezzlement implode. Sam's network. 60-year ties rivaling CIA. Every victim documenting. Lopez en route with 17 witnesses. Thompson's disability logs prosecutor tearjerkers. Surveillance upgrade. Louise turned my setup federal grade, capturing crimes. Courtroom ready. She's committing fresh ones. Each fine, letter, transfer, real-time proof. Rebecca shielded immediately. Injunctions freezing accounts mourn. Complaints multi-jurisdictional. Writes suits to AG for ethnic/age bias. Financials. Homeowners Act mandates insurer mortgage alerts on probes. Clara scams trigger audits, saving neighbors thousands, nuking her cred. Protocols eyed desperate criminals violence. Surveillance for vulnerables. By midnight, annihilation machine ready, victim shielded. Post us, Rebecca summed, Clara rots federal max. Kingsley liquidated for restitution. Harass compensated punitively. Precedents shield nationwide. Security hum blended keyboard drafting impacts for max sentences. Victor said patience weaponized. With force at pivotal psyche moment. Mourn, pro-criminal Clara would grasp terrorizing judges' community as legacy annihilating folly. Clara's riposte to our barrage confirmed graduation to terrorism. Desperation turned Oak Ridge crime zone, delighting prosecutors. Assault hit Tuesday p.m. as I sentenced abuser. Alibi via public docket. Military cams caught felony HD. 2:47 p.m. Unmarked trucks. Disgorged pros, not gardeners, arsonists in coveralls, laying accelerant paths, rigging propane near panels, staging foliage for spread to Clara's mansion. Precision chilling, intent blatant. Evidence gold. Clara arrived with Channel 5 crew, feigning anonymous tips on hazards. Safety paramount. She told Emily over her planted proof. Brass impressive, charges divine. Louise's net. Sam snapped crew, Lopez plates, postman anomalies. Fire Marshal Tom Ellis, 30-year vet, spotted setups instantly. Not violations, pre-med murder. Soil tests, pro-accelerants, codes violated. 16 ways, prints matched Kingsley database. Expert kill look accident. When Ellis balked condemnation, Clara's body cam caught bribe. Thick envelope for cooperation, federal corruption. Decade men. Community intel. Similar preps at 3 other vulnerables. Feds swarmed, logging organized crime. Rebecca, warrants hours, accounts frozen, Kingsley forfeited. Irony, her evidence became conspiracy proof, bribe stacked felonies. Evening amid proof guaranteeing prison, accelerant odor shifted from ruin to justice brew. Hands trembled realizing near death in Victor's embrace. Memories aflame for her profit. Not theft, homicide veiled. Overreach self-destructed, accelerants evidence, bribes charges, silenced witnesses now cooperating. Surveillance hum, enforcement. Coordination for dawn raids ending rain. Victor, justice delayed sharpened lethal. Mourn, terrorist Clara learns judge murder bids eternal repercussions. 3:17 a.m. blast wrenched me from Victor dreams. To horror haunting Clara federally. Sleeping at Sam's, house unsafe post-prep, explosion rattled blocks. From window, 28 years, kitchen plans, final nights, ash-scattered garden, erupted. Orange inferno. Intense, Denver fire cordoned 3 blocks. Pros turned sanctuary demolition, mimicking electrical fail for max destruction, insurance sink. But Clara's hubris sprung history's finest. Prosecutorial snare. Porch in Victor's robe, watching burn as Fed arsonist Marcus Hale orchestrated scene. Not random. Thermal shows fire highways. Wanted you dead, accidental look. Evidence pristine. Fireproof cams caught 2:45 a.m. Kingsley crew, Clara's hubby 310 with gear. Smoking gun. Insurer Lena Kim found Clara's pre-claim 2:30 a.m. for spread damage. 47 minutes pre-ignition. Not forecast, murder doc. Neighbors rallied with comforts, fury noted by agents. Lopez, she tried killing you. We saw planning. Legend moment. Clara scene arrived 4:30 a.m., made up. Concern to cams. Accident underscores HOA standards. Judge's defiance may VE contributed. Unbeknownst. FBI taping for murder trial. Marshals prepping inescapable warrants. Probe. $340,000 HOA embezzled for arson. Policy overvalued. Payouts nation-sized. Feds monitored. Arsonist payments. Sell data. Perjurious apps. Rebecca. Dawn arrests live aired. RICO seizures. $3. 2M multi-state restitution. Charges. Judge murder attempt. Arson. Fraud interstate. Laundering. Conspiracy. RICO. Life eternal. Evening at Sam's with multi-state agents on biggest HOA fraud case. Smoke clung, now justice aroma. House gone, But Victor lived in protective community. Clara's murder bid birthed evidence locking her till oblivion. Handcuff clicks on news like Victor's ethereal. Not. Some wars worth total loss for eternal win. 7 days post-Inferno, Clara Beaumont Kingsley entered my courtroom federally shackled, orange jumpsuit supplanting athleisure, facing eternity confining charges. Irony divine, Victor orchestrated ethereal. Court jammed, overflow streamed. Marshals, FBI, insurers, multi-state prosecutors packed like Justice Legion. Channel 5 angle drama. AG front road for rights bills. 17 victim families witnessed. Lopez, Thompson's with son, displaced elders. Colleague Judge Carla Newman ordered gravity suiting. Terrorism. People versus Clara Mitchell, a.k.a. Sophia Beaumont, a.k.a. Rachel Kingsley, a.k.a. Sandra Hayes. Aliases 30 sex. Charges 4 minutes. Judge murder attempt. Arson first. Multi-state fraud. Laundering. Conspiracy. RICO. ID theft. Protection fraud. Rights violations systematic. Public defender pled bond on ties. No flight. Prosecutor Mia Torres rose shark-like. Defendant 6 IDs 4 states. For $1 million stolen. 15 communities razed. Torched judge's home. TV blamed victim. Gallery rumbled. Marshals tensed. Epic. Clara addressed court. Honor. Judge Whitaker orchestrated vendetta. Against homeowners. Weaponizing Gov versus HOA authority. Prosecution. Judicial abuse. Silence tomb-like. Agent-side charges. Prosecutors noted. Newman. 20-year gravitas. Ms. Mitchell. Accused burning judge asleep. Embezzling hundreds K. False IDs terrorizing elders/minorities. Millions fraudulent claims. Pause. Justice shroud. Evidence. Arson footage. Bribe recordings. Harassment docs. Theft ledgers. Perjurious apps. Not vendetta victim. Terrorist targeting judge's community. Mic drop. Reviewed. 15 communities destroyed. 200 plus displaced. Elder/minority bias. Full federal prosecution. Clara crumpled. Sociopathy pierced. Attorney whispered futile pleas. Bond denied. Newman boomed. Flight/danger extreme. Federal remand. Applause unchecked. Lopez wept relief. Sam fist pumped. 17 savored max heat justice. As marshals chained Clara away, her hate glare. Not over, judge. Never proved targeted murder. I rose. Robes waited 20 years. Court notes confession of targeted harassment for sentencing. Prosecutors admitted premeditation. Thanks eliminating doubt. Justice echo like Victor's approval. 2 years on. Rebuilt kitchen. Cardinals at Victor's feeder. I sip coffee as Clara rots federal max. Life sans parole. Trials prosecutor dreams. Jury's 3 hours 47 minutes convicting. Lunch break. Clara life for attempt. Plus consecutives till apocalypse. Hubby 25. Kingsley extinct. $3.2 million assets restituted multi-state. Biggest HOA fraud payback. Victims compensated punitively. Precedents nationwide. Oak Ridge model. Sam presides transparent HOA. $50 plus fines approved. Online reports. Mediation mandatory. Bias banned. Violators ousted. Ripples. California's Oak Ridge Act. Mandates transparency, fine limits, oversight. 15 states followed, shielding millions. Judge Victor Whitaker Scholarship. $750,000 from docs/books/donations, aiding first-gen law students. Star. Sophia Lopez, Harvard-bound protecting vulnerables. Annual Oak Ridge Justice Fest 1,000 strong. Vendors donate to defenses. Sam's band headlines. Louise workshops nabbed 41 copycats. Saving thousands. My career lauded ethics under fire. ABA Blackwood Award for Rights Courage. But personal triumphs. Whiskers reigns recovered. Garden blooms. Community thrives. Pack gardens. Sam teaches kids. Families converse freely. Children's laughter supplants sirens. Justice as safeguard. Minder. Hopeful beacon sands suburban wolves. Message for HOA battlers. Document. Unite. Silence enables bullies. Your tale could save others. But was justice overkill? Clara life-locked. Deserved. Or reform viable? Vigilante or equitable? Like, subscribe, debate suburban wars together.